that one city is actually relatively small. I think the city of Cumming has only got a population of about 7,000 people in a county that's growing. It's about 230,000. So the vast majority of Forsyth County is unincorporated. The vast majority of the growth right now is unincorporated. And one of the things we're trying to do is we're trying to attract these millennials. We're trying to grow our technology sector. A lot of these folks said don't want to, even if they can afford it, they don't want to live in a home, right? So what do you do when a lot of times you look around Metro Atlanta? A lot of the cool kind of developments is really municipally driven, right? You go to what's going on right now in the city of Alpharetta with their downtown, their town center development they've developed over the recent years that's continuing to grow and be successful. With us only having the one city, it really, we don't have those drivers going on. We don't have multiple downtowns that are right for redevelopment. So I think mixed use is a great way for us to, one, create some of that live, work, play environment that can have some multifamily as associated with that mixed use versus a standalone apartment complex. It can create that environment for us to have some office, for those folks who want to have that environment. And, of course, for us, we also do retail and economic development in Forsyth County, and it creates some unique opportunities for shopping and restaurants. So that right now in Forsyth County, odds are if you want to hear some live music or go to a nice restaurant, there's a good chance you're leaving Forsyth County. We have a few of those, but not many. Halcyon by itself is going to have, I think, 23 restaurants associated with it. There will be some standalone restaurants. Cherry Street Brewing is going to be having open a second location in Forsyth County with a nice beer garden overlooking the green of the new Halcyon development. But then they're going to have like an outdoor food hall. It's almost like I remember when malls were popular, you had a food court. Well, malls are not very popular anymore, but the concept of having a concentration of smaller restaurants is really what this this outdoor kind of food court concept that Halcyon is going to be rolling out. That nobody else has that in Metro Atlanta. This is also our first development that's really taking advantage of the Big Creek Greenway. I mean, there's been a lot of activity in Metro Atlanta along the Beltline. It's driven a lot of interest for not only people who want to live there, but it's also driven investment for jobs, right? I mean, there's just a huge amount of jobs that's going around the Ponce City market right now, for example. Basically, the Big Creek Greenway is our Beltline. We've already got 7 miles of this, multi-purpose road. It is like a thoroughfare on the weekends. People jogging, walking, riding their bicycles. Halcyon will have a trailhead basically at the beginning of our section of this Big Creek Greenway. So it gives folks the option of that live, work, play, but also even if I don't live there, if I'm a industry right up the street on Shallow, I can basically hop out and walk in 10-minute walk. I can be to Halcyon, right? I don't have to be directly in Halcyon to take advantage of because now I don't even have to get in my car. I can just get on the Greenway. I can walk down, ride a bike, enjoy the restaurant or experience or shopping experience, and then basically take the Greenway back to where I came from. So this is our really kind of first, development like this to really take advantage of that Big Creek Greenway. In addition to the restaurants, we'll have our first dine-in theater. I'm sorry. It's called CMX. It's actually a Mexican company that's developing this. They actually just acquired Cine Bistro. So I'm not sure if they're going to go under the Cine Bistro flag or they're going to go under the CMX flag. But it's going to be a very upscale, nice, where you can actually stay right there at the restaurant and eat, and then we'll bring the food to you where you're seating while you're watching your movie. So I think part of it is, one thing, this is also a little different with our mixed use with this new Halcyon, is there are really no anchor retail. All the retail is small, for the most part, smaller users. All the restaurants are, I don't know if at this point there's really any chain restaurants that have been announced. It's all locally owned, restaurants and shopping experiences. A few years, even 5 years ago, to be able to do this kind of development without a few anchor stores, you would have been having a difficulty time getting the financing because they wanted those anchor stores to help solidify this as a destination for people to come to. Well, right now retail is sort of upended right now. They're shrinking their footprints. They're really trying to, in the age of Amazon, figuring out what they need to do to stay relevant. You have Sears is in a process at one time was a powerhouse when it comes to being anchors in the mall that's getting ready to file bankruptcy. And for this, looking at their crystal ball, like, well, we don't need an anchor. We're going to do this development. We're going to focus on basically small, locally owned, unique shopping and restaurant opportunities. And I said, right now, I don't think there's any chains in here. Now, there may be some restaurants, that are, have a few locations in Metro Atlanta, but they're definitely not national chains. And so I think a lot of people are looking for is that live, work, and play, but they're also looking for uniqueness, right? Where I know a lot of folks still want to compare the Halcyon to the Avalon, which has been extremely successful for the city of Atlanta, or city of Alpharetta. And one of the things I'll tell people is that's really not fair to either one, because every mixed-use development I've seen so far is they're very unique in their feel, their vibe, and I think the same thing with it's going to have a very unique feel and vibe that we're looking forward to. They're having their grand opening in March of next year. They're knee-deep under construction right now. Everything's changing every day as you drive past it right now.
Well, I know the demand for restaurant space is high because, in fact, I have a client who wanted it, and he had some space, and he's having a hard time getting something over there.
Well, I mean, right now, I think in our area, your vacancy, even for retail right now, is like 3% vacancy. I mean, it's just it's really hard to find the space right now.
Mm-hmm. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back. We're talking with Robert Long at the Cumming Forsyth Chamber. We have a lot to talk about in just a very little bit of time, but that greenway that you talked about, does that go all the way down to Alpharetta, or will
there are plans to connect it. Right now, they're separated by just a mile or so, and so for us, we have our spots coming up in November, so not very far away. And I think part of that is to get additional funding, and then obviously we have to partner with the city of Alpharetta. But I think there are plans within the next 5 years to connect their greenway. So I know a lot of these folks have had their own variation of a greenway, and now that I know not just us, but even like when I was in Gwinnett next door, they're looking for connectivity. So how can we add some connectivity that those connect these different greenways? So just give people the same thing. Many more options to get around the community if it's just riding a bike for recreation. But just for us, I guess, so to answer your question, I think there are plans within the next 5 years to connect our greenway with the city of Alpha's greenway, and the same thing. I'm pretty excited about adding that connectivity as well.
You have a comprehensive land use plan.
We do.
Give us a quick overview on that, because we have a couple other topics.
Sure. I mean, for us, part of that, that land use is looking at, particularly along the 400 corridor. Trying to that basically is our beachfront property in Forsyth County is 400, and what can we do to develop it the way we would like for it to be developed, with some density, with some mixed use, with some office, industrial, and creating those opportunities along that corridor. And then, of course, for us, basically, there at one time was plans for a northern arc, that actually would have gone through Forsyth County. In fact, GDOT actually has some quite a bit of right of way they had acquired for that, that never happened. But now you have some significant improvements in widening on basically Georgia 20. Georgia 20 is really becoming the northern arc that never was. The section for us and from Cumming back towards Gwinnett County, towards Sugar Hill, Buford is complete now. Now the section back from Cumming going towards Canton is basically under right-of-way acquisition and design. And so, 20 is slowly becoming that northern arc to give folks an opportunity, particularly for truck traffic. They would at some point will not have to go down and then come back up if they want to go towards, from Chattanooga towards Greenville. They'll be able to take 20 as an alternative. They take a lot of traffic that is going into Atlanta right now that really doesn't want to be there. It'll give them an opportunity to go a different way to get around, that east-west connection between, getting back towards 85 and 75.
How much available land do you have?
Well, that's one of the things we're working on. Available land in South Forsyth is, a little challenging, particularly for, when I'm trying to develop industrial office. We do have some opportunities still there, but at the same time, because there's fewer options, the land cost is higher. and it's come to the point where it's probably not as conducive for industrial anymore, just because of the cost of land per acre. So one of the things in our new plan I mentioned earlier is that we're looking at developing a new industrial area in the northern part, where we do have some acreage where we can pull together 500 to 1,000 acres, and the land cost per acre is reasonable. And then there's a role for the county to play when it comes to road, water, sewer, public improvements to make that a viable option for a developer.
What about active adult communities? How's that coming? Are you looking at that as a?
We have several. I mean, probably our largest is the Celebration Village development. It's they actually have housing at the back, but then they also have the nursing home where you can basically just use it as age restricted. I just enjoy the environment. It's almost like a cruise ship, the way they have the restaurants and the food options and the activities. But you basically, as you need more intensive services as you get older, they have that available there now. And so that's what we've seen, sort of the trend in Celebration Villages are largest in that sector right now.
I know Sterling Estates has got a new one coming up in there too, but it's going to be a pretty significant size.
Well, it really has to do with those aging baby boomers, and there's just really driving a lot of growth right now in that that senior living environment.
We didn't get a chance to talk about the film business, but I know you are actively pursuing that and growing in that as well.
Correct. Tourism falls underneath the Chamber of Commerce, and with our new tourism director that was hired earlier this year, we've done a much more aggressive trying to go after developing those relationships with scouts and recruiters. And we're actually talking to some folks right now about building production studios in Forsyth County, because we're close enough that to where some of the other main studios are that that we're a viable option.
Thanks for coming on the show, Robert. And if you missed any of the show, it's on my website without commercials, AtlantaCommunityProfiles.com. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.